sleigh. The rain had been falling steadily since evening, turning the city streets into mirrors of broken light. Outside the Grand Aloria Hotel, luxury cars lined up beneath golden chandeliers, their engines humming softly as valets hurried back and forth. Inside, warmth, music, and wealth blended into a world that felt untouched by the storm. Across the street, a man stood silently under a flickering streetlight. He wore a faded brown jacket, worn shoes, and simple jeans. Rain clung to his clothes, darkening the fabric. His face was calm, thoughtful, not angry, just observant. He lit at the hotel entrance the way someone looks at a memory, not a dream. His name was Marcus Holley. To anyone watching, he looked like just another tired man with nowhere to go. Marcus crossed the street and stepped under the hotel canopy. The warmth hit him instantly. He paused for a moment, letting the noise and scent of luxury wash over him. Polished marble, soft jazz, expensive perfume. He took 2 steps inside. Immediately, eyes turned. The front desk staff glanced at one another. A woman in a red dress near the elevator tightened her grip on her purse. A businessman frowned openly. Before Marcus could reach the lobby seating area, a tall security guard blocked his path. "Sir," the guard said sharply, looking him up and down. "This is a private hotel." Marcus smiled politely. "I know. I'm just waiting for someone." The guard's jaw tightened. "You can't wait here. This isn't a shelter." "I'm not asking for a room," Marcus replied calmly. "Just a seat for a few minutes." The guard laughed a short, dismissive sound. "People like you always say that." The words hung in the air. Nearby guests pretended not to listen, but their eyes stayed glued to the scene. There. The front desk manager, Evelyn Carty, stepped forward, heels clicking like punctuation marks. "What seems to be the problem?" she asked, already annoyed. "This man refuses to leave," the guard said. Evelyn looked Marcus over with a practiced glance that judged without words. "Sir, guests are complaining. You're making them uncomfortable." Marcus looked around. "I haven't spoken to anyone." "That doesn't matter," she snapped. "You don't belong here." A murmur spread through the lobby. Phones subtly lifted. Someone whispered, "Here we go again." Marcus took a breath. "Leave if you want," he said evenly. "But I'd like to speak to the owner first." That did it. Evelyn burst into laughter. "The owner? Do you have any idea who you're talking about?" "I do," Marcus said quietly. The guard grabbed Marcus by the arm. "That's enough." "Please," Marcus said calmly, pulling his arm back without force. "Don't touch me." That calmness irritated them more than anger ever could. "Get him out," Evelyn ordered. The guard shoved Marcus toward the door. He stumbled but didn't fall. The rain greeted him again, cold and unforgiving. As the doors closed behind him, laughter and whispers followed. Unbelievable. Trying to scam his way in. Security did the right thing. Marcus stood outside, soaked once more. He looked up at the glowing hotel sign and checked his watch. 7:58 p.m. right on time. He reached into his pocket and made a call. "Yes," he said. "I'm outside. Let them know I'm here." He ended the call and waited. 8 minutes later, black SUVs pulled up in front of the hotel. Doors opened. Men in tailored suits stepped out, followed by a woman with a sharp expression and a tablet in hand. Guests turned to look. The hotel doors flew open. "Slenty." Evelyn rushed forward, her face suddenly pale. "Mr. Reynolds." "We weren't expecting." The man at the front raised his hand. "Where is he?" Evelyn blinked. "Who?" "The owner," he said flatly. The lobby fell silent. Outside, Marcus stepped forward. Every head turned. The guard froze. Evelyn's mouth opened, then closed. Marcus walked back inside, rain dripping onto the marble floor. No one stopped him this time. "Marcus Holly," the man said respectfully, extending his hand. "I'm sorry for the delay." Marcus shook it calmly. "I was early." Confusion rippled through the crowd. "Zeppelin," stammered owner. Marcus turned to face her. "Yes," he said. "Oh, I bought this building 6 months ago." Quietly. "I wanted to see how it was run before finalizing the expansion." The guard's face drained of color. "You failed," Marcus continued, his voice steady but powerful. "Not because of policies. Because of prejudice." Guests shifted uncomfortably. "I was judged by my clothes, my skin, and assumptions," Marcus said. "Not one of you asked who I was." He turned to the crowd. "That should scare you." Evelyn dropped her tablet. "Sir, you fired me the moment you laid hands on me," Marcus said to the guard. "And you," he looked at Evelyn, "you're done." Security escorted them away as whispers turned into stunned silence. Marcus looked around the lobby. "Luxury doesn't come from marble or chandeliers," he said. "It comes from dignity." He turned and walked toward the elevator. Behind him, the hotel had changed forever. And outside, the rain finally stopped. The rain had been falling since late afternoon, steady and cold, washing the city streets into long ribbons of reflected light. Neon signs trembled in puddles, traffic hissed past, and the sky hung low and gray, as if even the clouds were tired. At the center of it all stood the Grand Aloria Hotel, a towering monument of glass and gold, glowing warmly against the dark evening. Valets in crisp uniforms opened doors for luxury cars, umbrellas perfectly angled, smiles professionally rehearsed. Inside, soft jazz floated through the lobby, mixing with the scent of polished marble, expensive perfume, and fresh flowers changed every morning without fail. Across the street, under a flickering streetlight, a man stood still. His clothes were simple faded jeans, a brown jacket with frayed cuffs, shoes that had seen too many miles. Rain soaked into the fabric, darkening it, clinging to him as if trying to pull him down. His hair was slightly graying at the temples, his face calm, thoughtful, lined not with bitterness, but with experience. He didn't look angry. He didn't look desperate. He looked patient. His name was Marcus Holly. To anyone passing by, he looked like someone easy to ignore. Marcus watched the hotel for a long moment. He remembered the first time he had seen this building, years ago, when it was nothing more than a construction site wrapped in scaffolding and ambition. He remembered standing on muddy ground with blueprints rolled under his arm, listening to investors tell him the project was too risky and that he himself was not the right face for such a luxury brand. He remembered smiling then, too. The rain intensified. Marcus adjusted his jacket and crossed the street. As soon as he stepped under the hotel's grand canopy, the noise of the city dulled. Warmth wrapped around him, too. The contrast was immediate and intentional. Outside chaos, inside control. He paused, letting the rain drip from his sleeves onto the immaculate stone floor. The revolving doors parted, and he stepped inside. Conversations faltered. Eyes turned. A couple near the bar glanced at him, then at each other. A woman waiting for the elevator subtly moved her purse closer to her body. A man in an expensive suit frowned, his expression shifting from mild annoyance to open discomfort. The front desk staff exchanged looks, their smiles fading into something tighter, more alert. Marcus walked forward, slow and unhurried, his gaze taking in every detail. The chandelier overhead sparkled like frozen fireworks. The marble floor reflected everything: light, movement, and judgment. Before he could reach the seating area, a tall security guard stepped into his path. "Sir," the guard said, voice firm and sharp, "can I help you?" Marcus stopped. I'm waiting for someone. The guard looked him up and down, lingering on his shoes, the damp fabric of his jacket. This is a private hotel. I know, Marcus replied calmly. The guard's lips pressed into a thin line. Guests only. Can't stay here. I'm not causing any trouble, Marcus said. I'll just sit for a few minutes. The guard laughed quietly, shaking his head. This isn't a shelter. The words landed harder than the guard probably intended, maybe exactly as intended. A ripple of murmurs spread through the lobby. Some guests pretended not to hear, suddenly fascinated by their phones. Others watched openly, curiosity mixed with satisfaction. This was entertainment. After all, something to break the monotony of luxury. Marcus met the guard's eyes. I don't need a room. I don't need anything. Just time. Phew. Like you always say that, the guard replied. The phrase hung there, heavy and ugly. Before Marcus could respond, the front desk manager approached. Her name tag read Evelyn Carter. She wore a tailored suit, her hair perfectly styled, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. What's going on? She asked, already irritated. He refuses to leave, the guard said. Evelyn looked Marcus over, not bothering to hide her judgment. Sir, you're making our guests uncomfortable. Marcus glanced around. I haven't spoken to anyone. That's not the point, Evelyn snapped. You don't belong here. A man near the bar chuckled under his breath. Someone whispered, Unbelievable. Another raised their phone slightly, pretending to check a message while recording. Marcus felt the weight of the room pressing in. He had felt this before, many times, in many places. Airports, boardrooms, restaurants. The quiet consensus that he was out of place, that his presence was a mistake. He took a slow breath. If you want me to leave, I will, he said evenly. But I'd like to speak to the owner first. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then Evelyn laughed. 2. The sound was loud, sharp, and dismissive. The owner, she repeated, as if tasting the absurdity of it. Do you have any idea who you're talking about? I do, Marcus replied. That only made it worse. The guard stepped closer, his hand gripping Marcus's arm. That's enough. Time to go. Please, Marcus said calmly, pulling his arm back without aggression. Don't touch me. His calm seemed to infuriate them. Anger they could handle. Calm felt like defiance. Evelyn's face hardened. Get him out! The guard shoved Marcus toward the exit. Marcus stumbled but caught himself, his shoulder brushing the glass door. The lobby's warmth vanished as the doors swung open, letting the rain rush back in. Outside, Marcus stood under the canopy again, soaked, the sound of laughter and whispers drifting through the glass behind him. Trying to scam his way in. Security did the right thing. People have no shame these days. The doors closed. Marcus stood alone. He looked at the glowing hotel sign above him and checked his watch. 7:58 p.m. Right on schedule. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Oh, I'm here, he said quietly. Yes, outside, let them know. Hid the call and slipped the phone away. Inside, the lobby slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Music resumed. Conversations picked up. The incident was already being filed away as nothing more than an inconvenience, a brief disruption handled efficiently. 8 minutes later, the sound of engines cut through the rain. 3 black SUVs pulled up to the entrance. Their doors opened almost in unison. Men in tailored suits stepped out, their movements purposeful. One woman followed, tablet in hand, eyes sharp, scanning the building like an auditor. Valets froze. Guests turned. The hotel doors swung open. Evelyn hurried forward, her earlier confidence evaporating. "Mr. Reynolds," she said breathlessly. "We weren't expecting you tonight." The man she addressed didn't smile. "Where is he?" Evelyn blinked. "I'm sorry." "The owner," he said flatly. "Marcus Holly." The lobby went silent. Outside, Marcus stepped forward, rain dripping from his jacket. Every head turned. The guard's face drained of color. Evelyn's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again with no sound coming out. Marcus walked inside. No one stopped him this time. The marble floor reflected his approach, every step measured, unhurried. "Mr. Holly," the man said, stepping toward him and extending his hand. "I apologize for the delay." Marcus shook it. "I was early." Confusion rippled through the room like a physical force. Evelyn's tablet slipped from her fingers and clattered onto the floor. "Oh, no," she whispered. Marcus turned to face her. "Yes," he said calmly. "I purchased this building 6 months ago through a holding company. I wanted to observe operations before finalizing the expansion." The words hit like thunder. The guard stared at the floor, his jaw clenched. Evelyn's knees looked weak. "Sir, I didn't know." "That," Marcus said gently, "is the problem." He turned slightly, addressing the guests who had watched, judged, and laughed. "I was assessed in under 10 seconds. By my clothes. By my appearance. By assumptions." He paused. "Net, one of you asked who I was." No one spoke. "I've been in this industry for 30 years, Marcus continued. "I've built hotels from empty land. I've signed contracts in rooms just like this. And still, tonight, I was nothing more than a nuisance to be removed." He looked back at the guard. "You put your hands on me without cause." The guard swallowed hard. "I was just following." "Her policy doesn't excuse prejudice," Marcus said quietly. "You're dismissed. Effective immediately." The guard nodded stiffly as another security officer approached to escort him away. Marcus turned to Evelyn. "You," he said, "are responsible for the culture of this place. You made a decision tonight that reflects exactly what kind of leader you are." Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, Mr. Holly, I can explain." "I'm sure you can," Marcus replied, "but you won't be doing it here. You're terminated." "Eh?" Collective gasp moved through the lobby. Marcus took a slow look around. Some guests looked ashamed. Others looked angry, as if they had been personally inconvenienced by the truth. "Luxury," Marcus said, his voice steady, "is not marble floors or chandeliers. It's respect. It's dignity. Tonight, this hotel failed." He turned and walked toward the elevator. The doors opened silently, welcoming him at last. As the elevator rose, the lobby below buzzed with whispered conversations, shock, and uncomfortable realizations. Outside, the rain finally began to slow. For the first time that night, the city felt quiet.